Welcome back to AFIA TV News Today, the discussion segment. And this afternoon, we're focusing on the expectations. We are expecting, of course, the cabinet reshuffle by the Enugu State Governor, Dr. Peter Mbah. 6 new commissioners are now on board, and there are 3 reassignments within the cabinet from yesterday. So the question is, what are the new things we expect from the new commissioners and those that have been reassigned from one portfolio to the other? Joining us to put some perspectives on this is Chukwuma Ephraim Okenwa, the Executive Director of Lead Network Africa. Good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
So, of course, the first question will be, were you expecting this cabinet reshuffle at this time?
Well, I would say to some extent, it's reasonably expected that after 2 years, an administration should be able to take a stock and find out where there are shortfalls, and of course make the needed adjustments to be able to ensure that the team can deliver more. Just like if you have a football team and you are either the captain or the coach, and you look at maybe after some matches, after a season, you should be able to assess the whole team and find out if there is any place where you can do better. If there were goals that could be better converted, if you have better strikers there, or goals that would have been, stopped. If you have people, better defenders, or even midfielders, who would have made the team a bit more stable. So it's reasonably expected.
I like the fact that you used a football team to do the analysis. And from what we saw in the appointments yesterday, you have a new head of service has been sworn in. You have 6 new commissioners, and 3 commissioners were reassigned. So it's typically, it's a mixed bag for some. Let's just start by saying that the new head of service, Godwin Anibo, and then Benjamin Ositoko becomes commissioner for works and infrastructure. Professor Benedict Ekutos-Yokoli is commissioner for human development and poverty eradication. And Enyina Franklin Obuna is Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources. Dr. Samuel Obunwobodo is Commissioner for Trade and Investment and Industry, replacing Adora Chukwu, who resigned. Others are Professor George Ugu, Commissioner for Health, and of course, Engineer Ben Collins Undu, who has been given the portfolio for water resources. Dr. Felix Nnamani, who was in charge of water resources, was reassigned from the Ministry of Water Resources to the Ministry of Labor and Employment. As Commissioner, Dr. Malaki Abu was reassigned from the Ministry of Human Development and Poverty Eradication to the Ministry of Information. And the former Commissioner for Works, Engineer Gerald Otiji, is now the Commissioner for Housing. So looking at these rejigs, let's start with that of Commissioner for Works, moving Gerald Otiji to Housing and bringing someone new to head the Works and Infrastructure Ministry. You think that this is a clear message to some of the new issues that cropped up from issues they've had with projects already done?
I think, yes. Moving him from being the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure to Housing, to me, would be perhaps he's done well in that regard. And maybe the governor wants him to do more interventions in area that directly impacts on the general standard of living of individuals and households. Because we know that basically at the moment, housing is really an issue within the state. We use you have some policies the government came up with in terms of taxation that is really impacting on the cost of rent, I mean, from the survey that I have personally carried out with my team, there's probably no house within the last 2 years that, it has not impacted, in many cases, 50% increase in rent, 100% even, right? And it's something the Enugu State need to look into, where maybe more housing units could be a step in the right direction, but also reviewing some of these policies that have made it really very difficult for people to be able to pay rent. The Enugu State government should listen in that regard.
So let's talk about the movement we've seen and issue around the Commissioner for Information. Now, Ake Zaka had left earlier nearly a year now to contest the chairmanship of Udenu. He's the chairman of Udenu now, and that portfolio has been vacant for almost 1 year. And now, finally, there is a commissioner there. Malaki Abu has been reassigned from Ministry of Poverty Eradication to that ministry now. So it's been a long time coming. And how do you think not having a commissioner for information for almost 1 year has affected this government?
I mean, greatly, because information gap is very obvious, and I wouldn't want to know why it was like even that gap was left at the first instance, because information is everything. It has to do with both the government managing how it's being perceived by the people, and also like a platform to get feedback from the people to really gauge the temperature. Other than the closest political allies that may not be able to represent far away directly, to the administration. So I consider this as a right step, even though it's coming rather late, but better late than never. And we do hope that with that, like some of the gaps that existed, should be able to be bridged by this gesture.
I mean, one of the biggest talking points is the area of water. Dr. Felix Nnamani was in charge, and now we'll have Ben Collins Ndu Jr. Stepping in to take charge of water resources. And water has been one of the biggest talking points in this government. The people seem to be asking them for more water. Yes, they say they've provided water, but the people are getting tastier. They want to see water in all the place, not just in the other known locations. Do you think that this is an opportunity for the government to write its name in gold?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, if the government can actually do this, as an insider into the working of the state, I understood before now that water issue in Enugu is multifaceted, right? It's not just something that has to do with political will, which Mr. Mbah was resolved even before his administration started. He thought it was just something that political will would fix. But I can reliably inform you that beyond political will and lack of funding, there is also like issue around sabotage, right? And I believe that by bringing a new sheriff in that regard, he would want to like find out where did his predecessor, not perform as expectedly, placed by the governor, and he want to do something different. Perhaps with that, we are going to see like some level of new vibes. Because you could be placed in a position, you've given the administration assurance, we're going to do this, and the situation looks far more complicated than you can ever imagine. And then a new person is needed to come with that fresh vibe and perhaps come up with some innovations. That is why fresh blood are brought in to think differently, to do things differently, to be able to see it entirely. Because sometimes you can stay in a problem, and the problem even become so imposing that you begin to find it difficult to like rethink the process and the possibilities.
So a bit of gender sensitivity here. The governor brought in another female to the cabinet, making it now a total of 3 commissioners that are females. You now have Professor Ekutosi Okoli, who is the Commissioner for Human Development and Poverty Eradication, joining, of course, Mrs. Nkechieni, and of course the Commissioner for Tourism, which is of course Dame Ugochi Madueke. There are now 3. Some people are asking for more, but he brought in 1 more person. How do you think this will help to balance things?
Yeah, I think it's commendable. I mean, it's all about walking the talk, because over the time there has been that advocacy of inclusion of women, both in the political processes, by way of giving more tickets to women to be part of elective positions, and also in the governance process. And I think one of the ways that every administration can demonstrate that women have a place is to give them that place that they probably don't need to struggle first to get. I mean, appointing positions, you don't need to like fight for it, right? It's not elective. It's not political. It's one that someone who has gone through a political process can appoint you. And in a situation where we could just say, okay, you want to be part of political process, as well as tell women and youths, go there, get your ticket and vie for the process. But like for a male-dominated world and political process, one of the ways they can show like that inclusion is, first of all, give them the things that they wouldn't have to like struggle and stretch to be part of, which is appointing positions. And with that, many can begin to give that visibility, right? That credibility, that capacity to be able to deliver more and even to have more chances for the elective ones.
Yes, and Dr. Sam Ogunwobodo is now the Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, replacing Adora Chukwu that resigned. So what do you think is bringing to this particular ministry? In just a minute and a half, please.
Well, I think judging from his antecedents, I see like a new wave, right? You know, re-engineering in that very key sector. When you talk about trade and investment, that certainly will drive the economy beyond taxation. So who wants the government to do more in that regard so that there can be less of a maybe taxation, right? You know, as a key policy of the current administration, because you have to like look at the issue of governance with human face, right? While the infrastructure is going on, the question is it only through taxation that government can make money? Certainly not. Government needs to begin to build more on creating wealth rather than actually maybe just, you know, depending entirely on the much you can get from the citizen, which is also important. But of course, generating the wealth is far more important and a more sustainable approach.
And thank you so much, as always, Chukwuma Ephraim Okenwa, the Executive Director, Lead Network Africa. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for staying with us on the news today. Do follow us on all social media platforms at AFIA TV Official. You can watch us live on our website at afiatv.net/live. My name is Alex Obodo. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.